and I've pre-programmed in all of the ones that are in this area. I'm just not getting any live chatter.
Maybe people aren't talking, but the other issue is maybe people aren't talking, right?
Yeah, I mean, it might be possible that people are just not using ham radios much anymore. This is the 2-meter band that I'm listening in on, which is the local transmission area.
Carl, you're I'm sure you have some information for us on this topic.
Well, I'm a ham operator.
Hey, there you go. Perfect.
There you go. One of the things, Drew, that now we have digital communications. I don't know what were you tuning it online or whether some kind of
no, what I did is I bought a radio. My intention was to buy just a plain weather radio, but I found one that also is a ham radio receiver on the 2-meter band. And I have it set up to I've pre-programmed in the 5 presets to the 5 most nearest repeaters to my house. And I've got it scanning all of the 2-meter band otherwise. And I just don't pick up anybody talking about anything.
Well, what area was this in Fort Myers area?
Sarasota.
Oh, Sarasota. Okay, that's close by. Well, I'd have to look in my digital directory, see what repeaters are there, but unless there's 2 basic digital standards. It's kind of like when we had the DVR recordings, and but neither one can you monitor with a regular FM 2-meter radio. You'll just hear noise. So that may be the case, and most likely they are digital. They're pretty much digital all over Michigan, and we have links. We link up periodically during the week across the whole country, and they're all interconnected by the internet. But it's all digital voice, and then of course the digital voice is converted to internet protocol for.
I wonder if I could be listening in over the over my computer rather than radio.
Well, you could search on the internet for, ham radio operations, but there is still some 2-meter operations, but it's very not scarce, but not active. And most people have gone to the digital modes and one of the 2 digital modes. So I'm thinking that somebody on the internet would have interconnected their analog output to an internet web server. I don't know for sure, but that's where I would go if you want to try to get it. Otherwise, you won't hack analog. You'll tune in. You'll just hear noise. You'll sound like there's nothing there.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Well, I'm gonna attend a meeting and see see who shows up at the meeting. They're supposed to be meeting at the local Red Cross to support their organization the first week of November.
Yeah, there's 2 protocols. One is by Yaesu Radio, and it's a YSF protocol, and the other one is called DMR, the letters Digital Mobile Radio. And they are able to interlink them through, like a web server or what they call a hotspots now. A lot of people are able to connect their ham radio, their little portable, to a hotspot, which is basically like a Raspberry Pi node that converts their digital radio to internet protocol, and they talk all over the world. It's a whole new world. I tell you, I just got back into it 3 years ago, and I'm no expert by it at all. That's all I have to say, guys.
Yeah.
George got his hand up.
Yeah, George, go ahead.
You can get these little USB sticks that are software-defined radios, and they plug into a computer, and then there's some programs that you can run. And people have done, a huge number of changes and variations on demodulation, I would think. So they're not very expensive. They're about $50 maybe, and you can scan a huge range of frequencies with them. So I don't know if the previous speaker has any experience with them, but they're pretty common now, and they're lots of fun.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. I have one. It's an RTL stick. You plug it in your USB port, and they are good. But the one I have is a little older. It doesn't tune the ham radio digital. They're not proprietary, but they're unique to any other digital system. They're manufacturer protocols.
Hmm.
So you need an actual digital receiver that's designed for that protocol. And there's two camps. It's like Ford and GM. You know, you're in one or the other, but they do able to interconnect just as we can operate on the same drive on the same highway.
And what is this device called?
Well, it's a digital radio. It's I have one. I can grab and show you. Mine's a portable, but it's Yaesu makes it. Yaesu has a standard. They're a worldwide, you know, amateur radio equipment maker, and the others are by the non-Yaesu, because there's the alternative. It's called Digital Mobile Radio, DMR, and it's a different protocol. But they all interface at the internet protocol. And just like the police have P25, there's also a non-police P25 protocol. There's about half a dozen different digital protocols. And you need the equipment that decodes that protocol. It's
Digital mobile radio. Huh.
yeah, digital mobile radio, and Yaesu, YAESU, are the other protocol. And the Yaesu is the more popular because it's actually easier to program than the DMR. The DMR is very complicated to program, but you have to have that radio. There's no way around it, I know of.
Huh. All right, cool. So analog is out, huh?
Well, analog FM is out, right? And that was it. It was frequency modulation. People call it FM analog now because as opposed to digital, but it's really not truly analog like AM radio. You know, FM radio is not analog, it's frequency modulation, but they colloquially call non-digital analog.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so
I
much.
got a question problem though, but when I took up a lot of time, I can wait.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Thanks, Carl, for your help.
I've been using a secondary monitor, my TV set on these webinars. And for years, I was using a 25-foot HDMI cable plugged into my Sony Media Center. And I know that Ray knows about those kinds of things, to say the least. And it allows me to, you know, have multiple inputs and just select them with a remote control. And it worked for years. Well, what happened here in only the last 6 months is that I no longer get the sound through the cable. And of course, I changed cables. I changed ports on the system. And the only thing I come up with, it's either that same cable I can access YouTube videos with no trouble. I get the sound perfectly. And the only thing that left is either something fluky with my laptop or it's Zoom settings. Any thoughts, anybody? Ray, I would think maybe you would have an idea on this.
You know, these things are so hard to answer just with the conversation back and forth, being there and looking. Do you have a setup in your media center where you can look at what speakers are being used?
Well,
is it
the
same speakers or
has it has I've got the controller. It's a Sony control. I have something like 10 HDMI inputs. And of course, one of them goes to my TV, which I can select. The TV happens to be number 3 on my remote control. And number one was what I was using all along for my laptop, connected to my laptop. I had one, connected to a now a useless DVR, and one to my cable box, and one to the TV. So it has been working for years. I've been on here and using other things. But what's strange, this is the Buffalo, and I'm an electronics engineer, but
Yeah.
baffling me is the logic. I can watch YouTube videos and hear the sound through the same connection, through the same laptop, through the same social media center, through the same TV. And it was working with Zoom, and it's not the audio only is not working with Zoom. And I can try other connections on the media center. I can try different cables. The only thing I haven't tried is a different computer.
Now, do you do the Zoom test for testing your speaker when you sign on to Zoom?
Yeah, of course I hear that.
That works.
But I want to hear it on my laptop. It doesn't come out on the media center like it used to. And then in Microsoft, you have the audio and display settings, and the audio it shows my Sony media center, and it used to work. And I selected, but I get no audio, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What I've
Carl,
been doing is giving up.
Carl, I guess the only question I would have, and here's looking at it from a different way, is that to take your smartphone will broadcast to your TV very easy. The technology is there. It's real simple to do. Zoom works on it. YouTube works on it. And so most people just use their smartphone to broadcast to their TV. So I guess it's another way, instead of going through a media center and HDMI cord and all those other connections, there's a simpler way to do it. And you might consider that rather than doing what you're doing.
Well, that's a good suggestion, something to try, because that's really what you end up doing in these things is eliminating, like the cable and different.
You've got a lot of technical points that you're going through, which obviously there's a problem, right? But the whole thing about using your smartphone to broadcast your TV is real easy, and it's built into your phone now. So it should be an easy thing to do. So maybe look at doing that rather than trying to do what you're doing. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and I've tried. I can Chromecast YouTube. I can't Chromecast Zoom that I know of, and but I can Chromecast YouTube. I have a Chromecast receiver. It goes into one of the Sony Media Center ports. So, but the thing is, Doc, is that it's been working up until a few months ago. So it's not. It's not something new I'm unable to do. So, anyways, I'll drop it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestions.
All right, Mike Ungerman.
I'll just add to Carl's comments, especially since he said he can Chromecast it. Bring up Zoom inside Chrome or a Chromium browser. Open up the YouTube app on your smart TV. Tell Chromium to cast. It'll recognize the smart TV and say cast to. You choose the smart TV, and now you've got your audio and your video, and that's how I do it without my cable. I used to use a 25-foot cable, but I don't anymore.
Okay, well, that's a good suggestion, Mike. Thank you.
And I'll be talking in a few weeks. I haven't got the video done yet, but I have my new Amazon Omni TV, which of course has all those features built into it, including it'll be using Zoom as well, linking it to a remote doorbell and all that. So the TVs inherently now are having all these services that are within the TV. So that's a new feature that we'll be seeing on a lot of TVs. Welcome, everybody. We've got about 6 more minutes before we start the show. We have our YouTube feed going. Thank you. I did remember to turn it on this week, so that'll be great. So those of you over on YouTube that are listening, hey, we're here. Good news. So, and then we'll get going in about 6 minutes. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, or you're new, if you've if you haven't said hello to us, please do so. Just raise your hand, yell or scream or whatever, and we'll say hello. Hello, Anne Marie. How are you today?
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Do you want me to give you an update on what happened to my replacing the battery that you told me how to do it last week?
Oh, the CMOS
Yeah.
battery. Yeah, how did that
Yes.
work? Did it work?
I couldn't even take the cover off.
Oh.
I turned it around and I didn't know which screws did what and whatever. And but my son is here.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have him take the cover off because I found YouTube videos on exactly how to do that with this how to
Okay.
replace this battery. So once the cover is off, I'm sure I can do it. You know,
I'm
so,
sure your son can do
Yes. Well, yes.
it.
If he has a moment, you know, they're all too
Or-
busy.
or-
Those
Or,
kids-
you know, I think that if you said to Best Buy, the problem with Best Buy is they'll probably want to do, they'll probably charge you $100 because they'll want to service thing, blow it out. They'll want to do a bunch of other tests. But you know, it might be if you had a local tech shop, look, I just need the battery replaced on the, you know, for the CMOS battery replaced, you might get it done for pretty cheap.
I'll get it done. I'll tell you next week. We'll have
Okay.
it done by next week.
Keep us updated on
You
that.
realize what happened during the meeting last week after I talked to you? Sure enough, it died and I had that problem.
Oh, really? Oh,
And I
okay.
had to sign back in. I almost laughed loud because here you go. We have the
Oh,
problem.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember you came back in. I wondered,
See?
where did you go?
See?
That's
And it
right.
kicked me out and it had the same situation where I had to go, you know, the BIOS and all that stuff. So yeah. Okay.
There you go. All right.
Thanks, you guys. We'll do it.
Any 4-minute questions? We have time for a couple more questions or a 4-minute question. Any comments?
I'll just make a comment on what Anne Marie was saying. She, as long as you're gonna take that cover off, get yourself a can of compressed air and blow all that dirt out. Put it out on a porch or back patio or somewhere where outside, because that dust builds up and that builds up heat inside your computer.
There was
Yeah, we're getting it
SOS.
from Ron, we're getting an echo.
Is that for me? I don't,
No, I hear somebody in the back.
maybe it's
Gerald
Gerald.
Smith.
Gerald, have you got a comment or question? Hello, Gerald.
How much does it cost to replace your battery in your Pixel phone?
I replaced mine and my Pixel 3 for around, what did it cost me? I think it was around, this is in Canada now, it was around was it $150? I think the battery is about $60 or $70 and whatever they're going to charge you to replace it.
Because I'm thinking about, there's a place called Batteries Plus or something that sells all kinds of batteries. They claim to replace batteries in phones. I just wonder if anybody has experience with them.
Yeah, there's lots of companies that do it. I would look around the area that you're in and see if you can find someone that does it on a regular basis. You want someone that's good at it, that does a good, you know, that does a lot of phones and you can get it replaced.
Yeah, there's several shops in my area that replace batteries and phones. I've had to do it a few times, then it's around $70.
Where's the echo coming from?
Thank you.
Thank Gerald. Is it still there?
Yeah, you've got that. Maybe you've got a problem with your mic.
Still got it?
I'll switch.
Yep. I'll be muting everybody when the show starts, which is going to
Okay,
start
I'm
pretty
gone.
darn soon.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. All right. I'll mute everyone. We'll get ready to go. Good morning. It's Tech for Senior. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. It's October the 24th. This is Tech for Senior 134th edition. Wow. Anyway, today we have a great show for you. We're going to start with our introduction. Then we have Bob talking about security. I'm going to be talking about your phone and actually your watch and measuring blood pressure on your watch. Bill's going to talk on Windows 11 tips. And of course, Hewie's he's going to be talking about how to compare quotes on goods and services. And Ray's going to finish up, of course, with our music segment, and we'll move into our question and answer. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. And if you're watching this as a YouTube short, just click the link and it'll take you right to the show. Today, after our show, we have, of course, our premiere service. And today, I'll try and get it. I was having a bad week last week. I had it set to start tomorrow. YouTube has a very odd naming feature. So anyway, hopefully it will start today at 10:30 on time. I'll make sure I'm there to make sure that it is starting on time. But today I'll be talking about the misunderstood Galaxy Watch 4, it's a good match because today I'll be talking about blood pressure control with smartwatches. Hewie's going to talk about Chromebooks. He's going to give you some tips on Chromebooks. So if you're interested in a Chromebook, that will be great. And of course, Bob is going to tell us how we can get Windows 11 tips. And this will all be on our premiere service starting at about 1:30. Now, we also have, and the link for that will come from our, I'll be putting that in our chat. And if you saw the Saturday newsletter that we have, of course, you will have, the link will be in there. And also in our Saturday newsletter, we publish the agenda for today's meeting. So if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, we have a newsletter. It's ad-free and it's a free newsletter. So you get that on Tuesday and you get it on Saturday. And on Saturday, we do put the agenda in. This week, of course, we will be on Tech for Senior. On our Thursday show, we will be talking about email and what is the best email to use. And we have, of course, a very special guest that's going to join us on Thursday, and that, of course, is Mike Ungerman. He's going to talk, he's going to help us go through this, and we'll be reviewing, of course, all the news of the week, and we'll be doing all that on Thursday morning. And if you miss that, we even podcast that out. So we've got a busy week. Oh, and the other thing is, Hewie, what else is happening on Thursday?
Gee, I don't remember. Maybe it's something like learning Chromebooks.
Yeah, learning Chromebook came up again. So learning Chromebooks will be on this coming Thursday. So we have a busy week this week. Of course, all weeks are busy coming up to Halloween. So let me introduce everybody. We have the usual gang with us today. I'd like to, I guess I'll introduce Hewie first. Hewie and I, 134 episodes we've been doing, eh?
Who would have thought about it back in March of 2 years ago?
Almost 3. We're in season 3. Well,
Yep.
Hewie, we're going to be in season 4 pretty soon.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years. So anyway, so we're now, just to let everyone know, you're probably wondering about Thanksgiving and what's going to happen next month. We've decided, of course, we've decided that we're going to do what we did the last 3 years. We'll of course be broadcasting on Monday and Thursday, but we're not going to do learning Chromebooks in November. So we'll be taking a break in November, but we will have the show on Monday and Thursday, even through the Thanksgiving holiday season. Anything you want to add to that, Hewie?
Nope.
You're surviving. You're sort of post hurricane.
Oh yeah, it's another fall day. 77 is a low and 84 is a high.
All right, and of course we have our pumpkin master here, Mr. Bob Gustisha. Bob, will you want to tell us about your pumpkin caper?
Well, every year we have a pumpkin hunt for the kids in our community. And this year, that was for us yesterday. And we had 250 pumpkins that the kids from the neighborhood were able to go and hunt for. Of course, I knew where they all were because I was one of the people putting them all out there and hiding them. We have a park, which I'm a VP. It's a 37-acre park. So there's lots of places. Kids got lots of exercise. And so we fill out the agenda properly. Besides the update for the security, I'll also be talking about a totally different topic, and that's apple seeds.
There we go. We're looking forward to that. Very good. And of course we have, Bill James is right. We'll get to Bill. We'll actually talk about Bill. Bill, you made it.
I made it. I'm here.
I like your background. That's really cool.
Well, this is National Security, Cybersecurity Month. So,
all right. Yeah, that's right. Excellent. Well, Bill, of course, we'll be talking to Bill in a few minutes, and he's going to give us some Windows 11 tips. And then, of course, we've got Ray Baxter. Ray, how are you doing? Is it snowing in Pine, or what's happening over in Pine?
No, it's about 45 degrees now. So, but we'll probably have our first sub 32 degrees, sub freezing day tonight. So now I may have to turn the heat on before November 1. That's always been my goal, not to have to turn the heat on till November 1, but it may force me. But I wanted to let you know I finally made the switch. I upgraded my main desktop computer to Windows 11 over this past week. I wanted to wait until I got the message on the computer in the update section that said your computer, no, it's waiting. I knew the computer could handle it, and now so I'm learning a bit about it, and it's not that much different. Things are just in different places.
Well, Bill's got some tips for you today.
And I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. And Mike Hungerman, you're sitting there smiling because you're getting free power. You're filling up your car with no, not gasoline. You're filling it up with electricity, right?
There's that orange cable right behind me.
There you go. We look forward to doing the same. And of course, we will be starting which I anticipate to be a very popular series on EV cars. And that will be starting next week. And Mike will be doing his first presentation on EV cars, and certainly a topic we all will be thinking about as we move into the new year and more EV cars are showing up at dealerships. So thank you, Mike, for doing that. We look forward to next week when we'll be asking you lots of questions, I'm sure.
I have questions for our audience in a survey. I'll put the link in the chat.
Yes, we had the survey go out in our newsletter last week, and will be coming out again this Tuesday. So if you can please fill out the survey, because we want to find out what your interest is in this topic. And also it'll be Mike, you're going to put it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll put it in chat. We have 23 respondents so far. Very good response.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks so much. We want to get going with the show because we have a huge show today, and Bob says I can't talk too much. So Bob, take it away.
Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending October 21st, 2022. Caffeine makes phishing easy. A phishing-as-a-service platform called Caffeine is unlike others in that it offers an open registration process requiring neither invitations nor referrals, allowing anyone who registers to access all the tools one could need to launch a phishing attack. The phishing tools offered by Caffeine include self-service mechanisms that can be used to craft customized phishing kits, manage intermediary redirect pages, and final stage lure pages, dynamically generated URLs for hosted malicious payloads, and track campaign email activity. Caffeine's templates mostly target Russian and Chinese platforms, but researchers worry that if more templates are added, the site could become exceedingly dangerous. See Bleeping Computer for more. Be Real has massive installs but few daily users. According to market intelligence company Sensor Tower, social media app Be Real has topped 53 million installs, but only 9% of its active Android installs are opening the app every day. Typically, many users install apps out of curiosity, then abandon them due to lack of interest. An app's popularity is more precisely measured by the number of daily users. Instagram leads this category with 39% of its active installs opening the app every day. TikTok comes in second at 29%, followed by Facebook at 27%, Snapchat at 26%, YouTube at 20%, and Twitter at 18%. For more on this, see TechCrunch. Google Chat upgrades coming soon. To compete with Microsoft Teams, Slack, and even Zoom, Team Chat, Google announced that enhancements to Google Chat will soon be coming to Workspace. New features will include message threading later this month and custom emojis creation later this year. Next year, Workspace will introduce broadcast-only spaces to optimize presentations, as well as roll out APIs that will allow other apps to create and start meetings in Meet and initiate messages in Chat. Google also announced extra security features that will help prevent sensitive information leaks. See The Verge to learn more. The Toyota data breach exposes source code and email addresses. Toyota disclosed a security incident where a subcontractor uploaded Toyota source code to a GitHub repository that was inadvertently set to public access. The source code contained an access key to a server where customers' information, such as email addresses, were stored. The company stated that up to 300,000 customer email addresses may have been compromised, though it is yet undetermined whether or not any third party has used the access key. No other customer information, such as names, phone numbers, or credit card details, were stored on the server. Toyota has started sending out apology letters to affected customers. For more, see Security Week. Bizarre Call tricks victims into calling a number. Active since at least 2020, Bizarre Call campaigns involve social engineering schemes where victims are tricked into calling a phone line for help and being led through steps to install malware on their own systems. The phishing scam begins with bait in the form of an email that tells the potential victim that they have been charged for the purchase or renewal of an online service. A phone number is provided for any queries. When users call the number, they get a bad actor actually acting, who tries to use any number of social engineering techniques to direct them to a website, have them download a malicious file and execute it. The hackers then have remote access to the victim's system. See the report by Trellix for more details. DJI drone tracking data exposed in U.S. Over 80,000 drone IDs were exposed in a data leak after a database containing information from dozens of airspace monitoring devices manufactured by the Chinese-owned DJI was left accessible to the public. Think twice before taking out your shiny new drone for a spin near the Cannes Film Festival, a prison, a nuclear power plant, or an airport. Enhanced security institutions use devices to monitor drone movement, posing a privacy risk to its owner. Recently, the Cyber News research team stumbled upon an unprotected database with over 90 million drone monitoring logs generated by DJI devices, the largest market player in the world that sells both drones and devices to surveil them. See more at Cyber News. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. How much do you know about cybersecurity? This 5 Cyber Awareness Question Quiz will help protect everyone in your family, from the baby to grandma. Read the article at the link listed. Did you know video games have been found to be more effective at battling depression than therapy? Just thought you might want to know. That wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. So what happens if you eat an apple seed? Some seeds can be a delicious addition to your diet, like pomegranate or sunflower seeds. Have you ever wondered about apple seeds? While some seeds are safe to eat, apple seeds can be dangerous. My thanks to Kelsey Opal for her informative article, which inspired this video. See the article at the link listed. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and get involved. Apple seeds contain amygdalin, a plant compound that can have a toxic effect. Amygdalin is harmless when it's attached to the apple, but if it's chewed or broken open, it can have consequences. After you eat an apple seed, amygdalin converts to cyanide poisoning in your body. Some mild symptoms include headaches, dizziness, and anxiety. More serious symptoms can include high blood pressure and a coma. Good news is that you shouldn't experience any dangerous symptoms unless you decide to eat a whole lot of apple seeds. Swallowing one on accident here or there shouldn't give you cyanide poisoning. It would take an estimated 85 apple seeds to make you sick. Cherry pits, apricots, and peaches also contain amygdalin. To avoid these seeds, carefully slice your fruit and remove the seeds. You should consider using an apple corer to stay clear of apple seeds. Are you curious what will happen if you swallow a watermelon seed? The answer might surprise you. They're actually good for you. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Bill James, where are you?
I'm here.
There you go. Take it away.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Oh, Ron, I need to,
Oh, share your screen.
yes, please.
Sorry about that. We will fix that. There you go. You should be
Well,
good to
this
go.
month, last month, we saw an important update to Windows 11, and that was the introduction of 22H2, which was the first major update to Windows 11. So today I'm going to talk about those updates, and actually it came in two forms. The first one was September 18th, 2022, and it was KB 5017328. That was the first major update, and then followed by another update that was in October 18th, which was the KB 5019509. And that's the one that brought about the new change to file manager. So I'm just going to talk about the first four, and then we'll follow later with the other four.
Do you want to share your screen, Bill?
I will.
Okay.
I'm going to give a live. I'm going to give you a live update. I mean, a live presentation.
That's fine.
So I'll share my screen. And can everyone see my screen?
Your lovely swan.
Yes, that's a beautiful background that Microsoft provides every once in a while. It's a beautiful. So the first one is that if you are is to access the control panel options in the settings app. So if you are accustomed to using the control panel, and even if you're using the control panel in Windows 11, you might be surprised to find that when you access device and printers and default programs, you'll be taken to the settings app in Windows 11. So this is a control panel, and I'm going to change it to large icons. So if I was to go to device and printers, if I want to make any kind of change, typically you would get what used to be the applets in the control panel. But now when you click on that, it's going to take you to Windows settings. So don't be surprised to see that that's going to be happening, because Windows, Microsoft is gradually migrating everything from the control panel to settings. And that would be also true for the default programs. If you were to go to default programs in the control panel, you'll be taken to settings in Windows 11. So just don't be startled to find that to be the case. So what I'm telling everyone is that you should try and to use the new settings menu as much as possible. And if you find yourself unable to figure it out, then go to the control panel if that option is available. But I would try to use the settings first if I want to make any changes to my PC. You know, if you want to change the display or whatever, try using settings rather than using the control panel. The other thing that has happened is that now the search option in Windows 11 has taken a new personality, in that when you click on it, you come to what they're referring to as search home. And what you get is, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong thing. So when I click on my spyglass here, I'll get something like this particular deal is that it's Happy Diwali. Now, whatever that is, I have no clue, but you'll find that every day there will be a new trending, whatever you might call it, on something for that particular day. And it'll be denoted by having this little icon to the right, and then it'll be something particular about that particular topic. And then you can, of course, go here to learn more, and it'll bring up more information as well as all images. So they're calling this search home. Now, the other thing that happens is that if you still want to search, you can still do so by just typing in the search bar here. Let's see. So if I wanted to type in Vitamix or whatever, I can still do the search. And you can see now it comes up with the best matches. There's, in this case, this is a website, but I could go to apps, and then there's a document. There's an app here that's in the Microsoft Store. There's a document that I've started. There's a web search, and then of course there's more. And you can delineate email, folders, and music, whichever you want to search. That's still available. But the way it's working now is that when you first click on the search, you're going to get what's referred to as the search home. One of the other things that has occurred is that they have something that's called, you can copy content from the web very easily, called what's called Web Select. So if I was to go to a website that I wanted to copy something for, let's see here. So if I wanted to copy this, I could just right click on the item, and you'll see something that's called Web Select. I can click on this, and then I just need to take my cursor and just take it, and then I can draw whatever I want to select, and then click on copy, and then you see copy. And then I could go to, let's just do a Microsoft Word document here. Do a new. And then right click and do a paste. And I have this available. So that's one of the new features of copying things from a website to a document, whether it be an email or a Word document, whatever you wanted it to do. And that's quite different from using some of the other features, I should say the snipping tool. But anyway, those are sort of the things that have are now available in Windows 11. And I'll have 4 more tips for you later. One of the things that I'm really excited about is that in the October 18th update, we got tabs in the file manager. I have to say I'm struggling with that. I'm going to have to do some more practicing to figure out how all that works, but it has really transformed file manager into a whole different tool. So we'll talk about that, as well as there's a couple other things that are coming, like suggested actions was another one that showed up in the October 18th update. So with that, that's our tips for Windows 11. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks, Bill. That's great. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. I have some questions for you as well, but we'll deal with those in the question and answer.
All right.
Unshare yourself from the screen.
I will.
There you go. Thanks. Thanks, Bill. Ray, I hope you're paying attention to that. We got your new, there you go. Excellent. So today, now I guess what I want to talk about today is your blood pressure and your smartwatch. I wanted to make this video for about a year now, and I finally got it done. It's almost finished. I'm just waiting to, there's a few rough edges, but I'll smooth those out. Wanted to play it for you today. What you're going to find is that the next big feature of smartwatches will be blood pressure. Your smartwatch will be able to take your blood pressure. I know everybody's waiting for blood sugar technology, but that's coming. And but I think what you're going to see on most of the major carriers, the next feature will be blood pressure. The Galaxy Watch 4 and 5, of course, can do your blood pressure. So I wanted to make a video about how this technology actually works. And so this is a fun video. Just sit back and watch it, and maybe you'll have some questions and we can answer those in the Q&A. So let's get going here. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Today I'm going to put on my physician's coat, and we're going to talk about blood pressure. We're going to talk about the importance of blood pressure, how you take your blood pressure, and also the 2 new ways we're using to incorporate blood pressure into smartwatches. Yes, smartwatches can now take your blood pressure. So let's have a look at this. Blood pressure and your watch. Why is this so important? Well, an elevated blood pressure is actually called hypertension. And the thing you should know is that it is common. It is extremely common to have elevated blood pressure, particularly as a senior. The second thing you need to know, this is a silent killer. This is a major contributor to heart and kidney disease. So it is so important that we pay attention to our blood pressure, get treatment for it, and follow it closely. That is why I'm so excited about new technology coming into watches that actually measures your blood pressure. Is this a game changer? Is this going to be better than actually taking it on your wrist or arm? No, not really, but I hope this will bring awareness and enthusiasm to patients so that we can be on top of this very, very common problem. So what is the difference between your pulse and your blood pressure? Well, as you know, your heart beats, let's say 80 beats per minute. Well, we measure one pulse for each beat. So if your heart rate was going at 80 beats per minute, then your pulse would be 80 beats per minute. If you're running or exercising and it goes up to 100, then your pulse is 100. So it's a measurement of how many times your heart beats per minute. Now, any activity tracker, watch, even the cheapest $10 device that you can get will measure your pulse. It is a super easy thing to do and easy to track how many beats per minute your heart is actually beating. Now let's talk about your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is different. As you know, your heart contracts down and then it relaxes. That's called a beat. Let's say your blood pressure is 120/80. Well, 120 is what we call systolic, or that's when your heart contracts down, and that is the maximum pressure in the system. The bottom number is called diastole, and that's when your heart is relaxed. It's the bottom pressure in the system. So we always have a top, which is the top when your heart contracts, and when it relaxes, that's the bottom pressure. So a blood pressure always has two numbers associated with it. As you know, you would need more pressure as we get taller. So think about a snake slithering along on the road. Of course, it doesn't need much pressure to get blood to its brain. But let's take a giraffe who's in the forest and has that very, very long neck. It's going to need a massive heart and a lot of pressure to push that blood all the way up to the brain. So we've adapted over time to sort of figure out exactly how much pressure we need to provide oxygen to our brain. So as you can see, blood pressure is more complicated to measure than a pulse. We have two numbers. We have sort of a pressure number that we have to come up with, and we're going to need some more electronic and gadgetry to try and figure this out. And that's why there are very few watches that actually measure blood pressure. Today in this video, we're going to talk about the different technologies that are coming to allow blood pressure to be measured on a watch. All right, how is blood pressure traditionally taken? Well, you've all had your blood pressure taken, so you know there's a bladder that's placed around your arm. This bladder is then pumped up and relaxed, and we get a blood pressure. This is usually performed by your healthcare provider. In the last 10 years, we have seen automated blood pressure machines come, and these are fairly standard now, and you can get them for around $50 or $60, and they provide excellent blood pressure readings, and you don't have to do anything. You just put the cuff around your arm. Now, we've seen this expand to cuffs on your wrist. In fact, there has been a watch which actually has taken your blood pressure, and it's been available for a number of years, and it actually has a bladder in the wrist strap and actually pumps up and relaxes. So there are many ways that we can take your blood pressure, but they all involve some sort of bladder being around an arterial source, being pumped up and relaxed. The other thing you should know is we can take your blood pressure in different arterial sources. For example, we can take a blood pressure of an upper leg. We can take a blood pressure of your lower leg. We can take the blood pressure of your toe, or we can take the blood pressure of your fingertip. Many different ways in which we can do blood pressure. A fun thing you can do is take the blood pressure between your left arm and your right arm. You'll often find a difference. So there is a standard of which we have defined, and all the medical research has all gone to being an observed blood pressure reading in your left arm sitting, with your arm being at the level of your heart. And that's basically the standard by which we take blood pressure. Now, taking blood pressure in a watch is going to, of course, depart from this standard, and let's look how we're going to do that. So how do we get blood pressure from a watch? You normally go into the doctor's office, he puts that thing around your arm. He then puts a stethoscope on your front of your arm and measures your blood pressure. Well, if we have a watch on our wrist and these little flashing lights behind, how does that measure your blood pressure? Well, there are two different technologies that we use. And I'm going to talk about those today and explain them. The first one is called the pulse arrival time or pulse transit time. So it's PAT or PTT. Both these are exactly the same thing. Now, as you know, when your heart contracts down, it creates a wave. It actually can create a pulse, and this is a wave that goes through the arterial system. And the pulse arrival time is the time it takes the pulse wave to travel between two arterial sites. So we can actually measure the time difference and come up with a blood pressure. So how do we do this? Let me explain. So the first thing that happens is when you get your Galaxy 4 watch, you have to calibrate it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your own blood pressure cuff, put it on your arm, and take your blood pressure. Let's say it's 120/80. You're then going to enter that into your watch, and that's going to calibrate it because we know what your pulse is at that particular time. And this is going to calibrate the amplitude of your pulse, and we're going to use that as a reference point for that specific blood pressure. Now, once it's calibrated, let's say you go out and you're doing some exercise and your blood pressure goes up. Well, that's going to actually change the time in which that wave transits between those 2 points we discussed. And so it's actually not going to measure your blood pressure, it's going to calculate it by the time difference in that wave. So a bunch of calculations occur, and your blood pressure now is displayed on your watch. That's the technology called PTT or PAT. It's a calculation from your original blood pressure that you put into your watch. And that is why your watch needed to be calibrated. And it also needs to be calibrated about once a month to use this technology. Now you're going to say to me, oh, is this hocus pocus? Is this really work? Yes, it does work because Samsung has taken a lot of medical research and presented it to the FDA. The FDA has then had their body of experts look at this and said, yes, on the Samsung Watch, Galaxy Watch 4 and Galaxy Watch 5, this is valid. We actually can get a valid blood pressure on this watch using this technology. Now you have to be very careful because there are a lot of $25 watches out there that will measure your blood pressure using some sort of technology. I have no idea what it is, but I can tell you that the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 and 5 has been cleared by the FDA to be valid, and we really want to get accurate readings because your blood pressure is very important. So be careful on what watches you use and only get the certified ones. So what are the advantages of PAT or PTT? Well, it's relatively simple and it works well on watches. What are the disadvantages? Well, you have to calibrate it, and that requires input on the consumer. So it all relies on what that initial blood pressure you put in to calibrate your watch, because we're not actually measuring your blood pressure, we're doing a calculation on a change in what you are measuring and putting into the watch. So for example, if you don't have a blood pressure machine and you've gone and borrowed one and you're using the wrong size cuff and you put a bad value in, then all your subsequent blood pressures will not be valid. Suppose you don't have enough money, you spend it all on the watch, and you guess and you say, well, I'm just going to put 120/80 in, but that's not your real blood pressure. Well, then all the subsequent blood pressures your watch is going to give are all in error. So technology certainly has some problems, and it all requires an accurate calibration. And each month you need to calibrate your watch and make sure that the correct values are there. Because remember, we're only measuring the change in the data that you're putting in that's taken by a traditional blood pressure measurement. And that is called pulse transit time or pulse arrival time. All right, the second way of taking your blood pressure is called photoplasmography. Oh boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Photoplasmography. Bet you can't say that backwards. We're going to call that PPG for short. And it's real simple. This is basically a technology that's been around actually since 1930. It's used widely in medical labs around the world, and it actually is where we look at the flow of blood through the arteries, and we use a photosensor to measure your blood pressure based on a number of parameters as its blood is flowing through the artery. And of course, as you know, the skin on the back of your wrist is very, very thin, and a lot of those sensors that we use are the ones that will be detecting the flow of blood in your wrist. And we can calculate this out and figure out what your blood pressure is. And that is called PPG, or photoplasmography. And this is going to be probably the new way in which we move ahead when we're doing blood pressure with your watch. So in summary, we have two types of technology. We have pulse arrival time or pulse transit time, and we have photoplasmography. The first group is just measuring the difference from a blood pressure you are entering in. The second type is, of course, measuring your actual blood pressure. We'll see both these types used in future watches as this becomes more common. So it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully that video showed. All right. Hewie, are you ready to roll?
I am. Let me get there.
Tech for Seniors present the website of the week with Hewie Poplock.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Website of the week, number 16. I'm Hewie Poplock. Compare quotes on products or services with thepricer.org. Search. Search for a product or service you want to buy, but are uncertain about its cost. They will give you all the articles they have written about that particular product, or about similar ones from the same category. Read. Read a detailed article about the cost of your needed product or service, along with information on how and where you could get it for a cheaper price and why. Shop smart. Use the information you get from the site to buy the products or services you need for the best price. Let's go to the website, thepricer.org. This is thepricer.org. Let's take a look. As we scroll down, you'll see they have our newest articles, and there are several. What's the Cost of a trampoline. Let's take a look at this using the immersive reader. If you want to encourage your children to spend their free time actively in the fresh air, a garden trampoline is a fantastic idea. So it tells you a little bit about how much it costs, generally between $250 and $950, with an average price about $450. It's by size. There are different brands and styles, and then additional costs. So why buy a trampoline for your children? Here are some reasons to buy one. How to choose a quality one. So you can get an idea of some of the articles. It's by the newest first. It's in date order. Sometimes it's a restaurant and their prices. Sometimes it's a famous person and how much they're worth. And sometimes it's an article about a particular product or a membership in a particular group. Now let's come back to the top here and we can compare quotes on a product or service. Let's take an example of a walk-in tub and do a search. It gives us several articles. There's 13 articles. Some may or may not have anything to do with it. Some may be close to what we're looking for, but might give us some other ideas what we want to look at. But in this case, we want to look at walk-in bathtub costs. You'll see there's a picture of a tub, and then it talks about for the walk-in tub, expect to pay from $2,500 to $15,000 for one with many features. And then how does it work? They tell you a little bit about it. What could go wrong? First, you should enter into the tub and turn on the water. Be careful and don't get too impatient till you get the right water temperature. And even though it has a fast drain, you'll have to wait until all the water is gone to get out of a walk-in tub. And should the average working Joe get a walk-in tub? If you're a member of the family with mobility problems, a walk-in bathtub, even though it's pretty expensive, will be a nice way to give them just a little more independence, at least when they're taking a bath. Don't buy a walk-in tub out of laziness if you don't have someone with mobility problems in your family, because as you'll notice pretty quickly, it won't be very comfortable. Let's try one more. In a similar category, let's take a look at a hot tub. Hot spring hot tub costs, in-ground hot tub cost. It's what we probably would look at. If you're looking for a hot tub and aren't planning to move anytime soon, an in-ground design is one of the best ways to go. And they talk about it and give you some suggestions, some information about it. Custom jacuzzis cost to expect around $5,000, but could be $15,000. There's prefabricated hot tubs, and what are the benefits of a hot tub? And so it's a good article if you're looking for hot tubs. Another quote of a product or service, let's take a look at a Christmas dinner. Christmas meal for the entire family. This is a recent article, but I don't think some of the prices are as accurate as they could be. It's giving you about per person what it's going to cost, but what I noticed is a bottle of wine can be purchased for $6. I think that's going to be hard to do. So probably the other prices are going to be a bit low as well. But how to spend less on a Christmas dinner, and then should the average working Joe make a memorable Christmas dinner? And so it's a good article to look over. Also looking at the page, thepricer.org, at the top there are several categories where you can look at products and services as well. Let's look at the tech area. And you'll see some things that may or may not be of interest to you. Cost to repair a water damaged laptop might be one to look at. Most of the time you should not spend more than $110 to repair a water damaged laptop, while for the cheapest repairs you'll have to pay anywhere between $40 and $50. And there's various prices for different brands, and you can look at more and they'll give you more. It tells you about the Mac, Apple laptop, water damage, Dell laptop, Lenovo, Asus, and HP laptop water damage repair costs. Conclusion: accidentally leaking water onto your laptop can be one of the most daunting experiences. The best solution in this regard, however, is to keep liquids far away from the laptop as possible, and if accidents still happen, you'll have to move quickly and call a laptop repair shop to make sure that your laptop is repairable. Let's look and see if there's anything else here that might be of interest. I like the Segway. Well, how much does a Segway cost? And the Segway Mini Pro, which is like a hoverboard, is $650, but most of the Segways are in the $5,500 or more, but in the $7,000 to $8,000 range. They talk about the Segway details and the different types and what the differences are between the different models, and then what extra costs would be, and then how to use a Segway and important things to consider. And then how can you save money? Well, buy a used Segway might be a way to do so. Some of the other topics at the top include travel, business, education, family, and lifestyle. Let's look at cooking and eating. Her menu prices, looks like for most of these, and there's a total of 25 pages of them. What about weird? What about a fur suit cost for conventions or something like that? They cost between $1,550 and $3,100, and it could be even more than that. Why do they cost so much? Because of a few different aspects. The buyer pays attention to every small detail before purchasing. Here are some reasons why the fur suit costs so much: experience, labor, material, and then some extra costs. And making the fur suit yourself will reduce the cost. And then there's a conclusion for it. That's thepricer.org and comparing quotes on products and services. This has been Website of the Week number 16. I'm Hewie Poplock. Thanks for joining. There you go.
$6 bottle of wine. When?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna drink that.
No, I don't think I would either. If you could find one.
It's probably vinegar.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, thanks, Hewie, for doing that. That sounds great. Excellent. Thank you. So Ray, just before we get going, I'll say goodbye to our YouTube feed. And I want to thank Gina Butler for her generous donation this week to our coffee fund. And that always helps pays the bills. Thank you, Gina, so much for that. And thank you for coming. If you're over on our YouTube feed, thank you for coming. And we are going to sign off now as we move into our music segment. If you want to come over and participate in our Q&A, maybe you've got some Windows or blood pressure or price quote questions, come on over and we'll talk about that in our Q&A. Excuse me, Ray, are you ready?